Let's get right into it. Well, you've seen him before, but you never noticed him. A mysterious, grumpy-looking fish who appears at the weirdest moments in SpongeBob history. Some fans believe Old Man Jenkins is actually a time traveler who's been jumping through Bikini Bottom's history, influencing events and watching it all unfold. Sounds ridiculous, right? But let me explain. Here's the weird part. There are multiple Old Man Jenkinses. Different design, different personalities, and all labeled Old Man Jenkins. For example, there's one in Mr. Krabs' neighborhood. Then there's one in The Sponge Who Can Fly who shoots himself through a cannon. We have one in the Sailor's Mouth episode who's short and drives a boat. One in The Algae's Always Greener. And even in Your Shoes Untied, he's revealed as an old man, but beneath the glasses, he looks really young. Even in the episode Friends of Foe, where Mr. Krabs and Plankton are in their childhood, you can see the Old Man Jenkins, but he still looks like today. Like, it doesn't add up. So either Jenkins has serious identity issues, or he's a single being who exists in multiple time periods. Almost like a time traveler. He seems to never age and even causes chaos, like in the zombie episode. He just gives inconsistent vibes to the show. This theory even goes further by making the hash-slinging slasher his grandson. By looking at the two characters, there are many visual similarities. These two are even in the same trailer. There is no way they just slapped these random characters into the trailer. But what do you think? Even though that's a well-known fact, Patrick Star is really stupid, but we still love him. But still, one question kept popping up in my mind. Is Patrick really that stupid, or is he just pretending? If you think about it, he shows us his brains since the first episode. If it wasn't for him, SpongeBob would have never gotten his job in the Krusty Krab. When SpongeBob gets to the Krusty Krab, he tells himself he can't do it. And guess who's there to help him? Patrick. Even in the episode Chocolate with Nuts, they try to sell chocolate to become rich. But who came up with the idea in the first place? Well, Patrick. Even in the Wet Painters episode, he gets up with the idea to replace Mr. Krabs' first dollar with another dollar, directly after spending it on the chocolate bar, but you get the point. Now, there is a famous episode called Patrick Smart Pants where SpongeBob and Patrick go jellyfishing and play tag. Patrick then runs down the cliff and breaks his head, so SpongeBob finds it and screws it back. Suddenly, Patrick is really smart and he can talk about everything. Music, mathematics, science. He doesn't want to do anything with SpongeBob anymore, and no one really wants to do something with him anymore, because he's just too smart and he keeps insulting everyone for being not that smart like he is. At this point, he's trying to make himself dumb again, and recreate the moment when he fell off that edge. In the end, he turns dumb again, and the episode ends. And now if you look all those times he became smart in different episodes, you do see a pattern. They become smart only when needed. So he just stays dumb to be happy. Now, through the show, you can also see Patrick having different licenses, speaking for his intellect sometimes, and many of those stand out, like the fishing license, which basically should allow him to kill anybody in Bikini Bottom that he likes, or at the very least, to kidnap anybody. Mr. Krabs is the greedy owner of the Krusty Krab, and he has an interesting reputation in the city. Even though he has the best restaurant in the city, he seems kinda selfish and sometimes deceitful. Now, there is a well-known theory, or if you like it, I would even consider it a fact, that he is downright criminal. For example, betting his employees on a poker game, or selling his employee's soul for a whopping 62 cents. He values money more than anything else, but do these two things make him a straight-up criminal? Let me explain. Nasty Patty starts out with a stormy night. Mr. Krabs, taking a money bath, feels something is wrong. A health inspector is coming to the Krusty Krab, and the health inspector orders everything on the card. After getting his mouth stuffed with food, he just needs to try a single Krabby Patty, and now you see, Mr. Krabs finds out that there is a fake inspector out there. So, thinking their guy is the fake one, he wants to mess up his order pretty bad. Together with SpongeBob, he makes the most devious burger seen in the show. The inspector wants to try the burger and ends up choking by a fly. Now, even though the burger doesn't kill him, it's the following part that could surely get Mr. Krabs a few years in prison. The fish in the TV tells them that the fake is caught, and SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs understand what they've done. They take the corpse and bury it somewhere far away. Coincidentally, the police shows up, and because of the rain, the corpse slides down the hill. So SpongeBob stuffs it in the back of the car. Fast forward to the end of the episode, and the inspector is alive, and everyone thinks he's a zombie. So he gets smashed in the head, and before passing out, he tells Mr. Krabs that he passed the health inspection check. Another truly criminal episode is Krabs Trash, where Krabs is literally selling his trash to citizens of Bikini Bottom. He tries to lie to SpongeBob about some old hat he has, and SpongeBob buys it. Shortly after, someone asks for that hat and is ready to pay real money. After Mr. Krabs tries to scare SpongeBob to give it back, SpongeBob literally dug up a grave and gave it back to the original owner. Now, we have Mr. Krabs standing there, digging up a grave for a hat. In the end, he even gets the hat, but no one is ready to pay the price because there's actually a lot of those hats found in the process. So, we have grave digging as a second criminal act. Surely there's even more behind Krabs and stuff he's done, but tell me in the comments, what episode have I missed? Sandy the Spy. Yeah, I know. It sounds like the beginning of a bad fanfic. But once you start pulling the threads, things get really suspicious. Why is she even there? Who sent her? And more importantly, what exactly is she watching? Sandy didn't just wander into Bikini Bottom. She says she was sent there to study sea creatures. But let's break that down. Her introduction in season 1 shows her immediately blending in, but always observing. From jellyfish to behavior patterns, Sandy is always watching. And let's not forget the other citizens never question why there's a literal land mammal in a diving suit. That's because she's already established herself as a scientist. The perfect cover. Let's talk about the tree though. Sandy's house isn't just a cozy bubble, it's a surveillance hub. She has access to satellite feeds, yeah, literal space feeds, weather manipulation tech, giant robots, and even a rocket. A squirrel has a rocket. In Sandy's rocket, she straight up flies to the surface, and in the episode Pressure, she challenges sea creatures to a deathmatch. This isn't a scientist, this is a trade agent running experiments on local wildlife under the pretense of research. So why does she keep mentioning Texas? It's almost like she wants to remind us where she came from, and that's important because in real life, Texas is home to several major government and military research facilities. From the NASA to DARPA partnerships, there are agencies in Texas that specialize in underwater weaponry, deep sea surveillance, and bioengineering and marine biology. Here's where it gets really interesting. What if Sandy's not just studying sea creatures, but specifically watching someone? Mr. Krabs, for instance, has a long list of crimes under his belt. If Bikini Bottom has a kingpin, it's Eugene Krabs. So Sandy's arrival comes after Mr. Krabs' restaurant becomes suspiciously successful. Her dome gives her a front row seat to the Krusty Krab and the Chum Bucket. I don't think that's a coincidence. So let me know what you think about this. To most people, Gary is just the meow guy, a walking joke. But even from the early episodes, Gary's shown signs of being different. Let's start with sleepy time. Spongebob dream hops into everyone's mind. Patrick riding coin-operated horses in his own dream. Mr. Krabs? Money, of course. And Squidward? You guessed it, fame and clarinet. But what about Gary? Gary dreams of being a professor in a massive library. He speaks perfect English, has a British accent, and instills ready to go. He calls SpongeBob dense. That's not just sass, that's self-awareness. Gary has inner life, complex thought, and refined taste. He might even be dreaming in metaphor, which for a cartoon snail is pretty next level. In I Was a Teenage Gary, SpongeBob gets turned into a snail. And guess who teaches him how to crawl, eat, and meow? Well, his pet Gary. He educates SpongeBob and takes the role of a mentor. The question is, if Gary is so smart, why doesn't he say anything? Because Gary has learned the ultimate cheat code in Bikini Bottom is, if you're dumb or if you act dumb, you don't get asked questions. Gary lives in a place where geniuses like Sandy get ignored, Squidward gets punished, and Plankton gets obliterated. But he himself just lives under the radar, so he, in that position, can watch everything. The main characters in Bikini Bottom secretly represent one of the 7 deadly sins. So okay, hold up, let me explain. SpongeBob is lust. Not romantic lust, calm down, but a more obsessive kind. SpongeBob has an overwhelming desire for everything. He's addicted to working, obsessed with jellyfishing, and desperate for everyone's approval. It's kind of a lust for life, but not the point where it's unsettling. Patrick is the human or starfish embodiment of sloth. He lives under a rock, sleeps 90% of the time, hates responsibility, and when he does try to help, he somehow makes things worse by doing even less. He once even forgot how to eat. Squidward is a bubbling volcano of rage. He's one SpongeBob's laugh away from burning Bikini Bottom to the ground. Mr. Krabs doesn't just love money, he worships it. He'll sacrifice anything. His daughter, his employees, and even his soul if there's $1 involved. Plankton is driven by other things, like jealousy. He doesn't even want success, he just wants what Mr. Krabs has, specifically the Krabby Patty formula. Sandy is all about the best. She's proud of being from Texas, proud of her science, and proud of her strength. She'll challenge the ocean itself to prove she's better. Gary may seem innocent, but that snail is hungry. Every time we see him, he's either eating or angry that he isn't eating. He'll devour mountains of food, attack for snacks, and even run away from SpongeBob, who forgot to feed him. He even ate an entire couch once. And when you put them all together in a show meant for kids, it suddenly doesn't feel so innocent anymore. If you like this format, keep me updated. We always try to make something new and interesting for you guys. So I'm your host Mira, and thank you for watching.